Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities in Miniature, and it's time for our weekly painting progress. And unfortunately, there's not a whole lot to report. I didn't get a whole lot done. This time of year is starting to get to be crunch time. We had report cards due, we have my kids graduating from Japanese school. There's just a whole lot going on, so I'm afraid over the next week or so, things are going to be kind of sparse, unfortunately. The week of the 13th of March, I'm not even 100% sure I'll have a weekly painting progress video to show. That's the weekend of my son's graduation, and it's going to be super duper busy. So I'm going to just warn everybody ahead of time. If you do see one, consider yourselves lucky as I continue to spin around a random Cawdor dude with a flail. I have a box of Redemptionists that I have been waiting to put together, but I figured I had to have a couple Cawdor guys to go along with them, so hopefully I can do that. I've been trying to think, when was the last time I even did a GW release? I can't think of one. So, as you can see, my camera is not wanting to focus on the figures. We're going to play this game. That works kind of, at least for the time being. A really quick and simple paint job from a Warlord Metal Test of Honor figure. It wasn't the best cast. It's kind of a mess in here by his swords and his cloak. And I just tried to assume that's where things were and just went with it. Very simple paint job. But again, you've probably noticed a pattern of guys with big metal clubs. And if you haven't noticed a pattern of guys with big metal clubs, let me continue said pattern. Now, I'm not super happy with how this guy came out. This was from Red Clay Collectibles, if I remember correctly. And definitely, I think I'm going to need to go back and do some touch-up, especially on the face. It looks like a mess. And after actually painting him, I noticed there's some major print errors that I got, so I might try going back and printing them again. But if I do, what I'm thinking I'm going to do is actually make him even larger. So, I mean, size-wise, he's not bad. He stacks up pretty decently with some of the other Oni I've got, such as this Artisan Guild one right here that I like to show off fairly regularly. And I was going to take your guys' advice and actually try using a Macron pen to put fancy kanji all over his little spots there. And technically, this guy's supposed to be an orc, but you know what? We'll just give him red skin and throw him in with all the other Oni. We are definitely hell-bent on putting together some sort of an Oni army. And speaking of an Oni army, I've gotten ahead of myself. This model is from Cobra Mode, and I don't think I even did a video on it yet, but he's already painted. This is Zenkibo. This was part of the March release of their Dai Tengu. You can see he's got his big nose that I missed a tiny little bit of supports on. But I dig him. He's big, he's bad. He does look a bit like one of the Bundabura platypus barbarians in terms of the pose, but I mean, you know, the club over the shoulder is a pretty standard fantasy trope for barbarians, so I'll let that one slide. Plus, this guy looks a lot cooler. And it's a pretty simple paint job, but I think the matte sealer actually did him some favors in terms of just getting everything smoothed down. I think what I'm probably going to want to do is go back over the edges of his belt and do a better job highlighting them because you can't see anything now. And I wasn't sure what to do with his horns. This went kind of boring. But I really like this model. Again, if you haven't noticed before, there's definitely a pattern emerging here. But that's kind of intentional. I definitely want to do an ogre-styled army for Kings of War of nothing but Oni-style guys. So these are going to be like my heavyweight two-hander. I forget what all the boomers... No, boomers are the gun guys. We'll figure out boomers. But yeah, we have all sorts of club dudes. And I was figuring, rather than actually using goblins for the red goblins, for the next time I get around to playing Kings of War, I'm going to have a human unit of club guys. I thought that would be kind of fun and different. Okay, that guy I painted this week. Let's see what else. I know there's more. Right here. Yet another of the RN Studio Neo Kingdoms models. I tried to match it up sort of kind of like the artwork. I probably need to go back over it again, but that's okay. I think for a quick paint job this week, it didn't turn out half bad. I would definitely go back, and I'm going to probably have to fix up those gloves. I don't know why I was thinking synthetic human, kind of like a raw cast or something from Phantasy Star Online. Just casts in general, I guess, if you want to go even further back in Phantasy Star. Very simple pose. Getting to try to paint the backside of her, oh, yuck, I have to fix that, is a bit of a challenge due to the way the hair is, and it's one single piece, but, you know, it is what it is. And finally, my favorite one, I've been goofing away on this guy for some time. Yet another Raging Heroes samurai model. This is the Demon Samurai, I think was his name. I don't remember. Oni Samurai? No, probably Demon Samurai. But yeah, I've really been plugging away at trying to get this release all painted up. It's more than I could say for a lot of other Patreon models. Outside of, like, I know I tend to paint a lot of Cobra Mode stuff. This release from Raging Heroes, and I've painted a fair amount of Arena Studio stuff. I don't know. My whims and my paintbrushes take me where I please. But yeah. I really dig this model. It was just a single piece. It just blows my mind. It was just, there's so much going on there with him in terms of details, textures, pieces of armor, cloth, bandages, sashes, the pattern on the kimono. I mean, there's just a lot. The things on the bases. There's just a lot to take in with this guy, and I really dig it. I know that's going to piss off Sparkle Chat when he hears that, but he didn't paint anything this week, so he has no room to complain about how much I dig things or not. I know I tend to be very repetitive in saying that, but I cannot help myself. Come to think of it, let me see how many of these guys I have handy. Like I said, I've done a fair number of them at this point. And these are the ones I have handy, at least. I don't know if these are available yet on, like, My Mini Factory or anything, but I gotta say, this is probably my favorite of the Raging Hero releases so far. Speaking of Raging Hero releases, I saw they've got their Lizardmen Mesoamerican stuff next month, and I gotta say, there's some really nice models, but I was kind of bummed out that a lot of the skink-type people are just human bodies with lizard heads and breasts. It was kind of disappointing, because there's some really cool sculpts in there otherwise. Hopefully, maybe they'll go back and tighten things up and make the reptiles more reptilian. At least that's my hope. But I gotta say, overall, a nice little haul of stuff painted for myself. I just found out also, I've got some major projects planned for this summer now, in terms of painting at least. My family, we just paid for the tickets for the kids and my wife to head over and visit family in Japan. And I'd love to go with them, but considering my daughter is now considered an adult, at least in terms of pricing, having to already pay for 3 adults, I'd rather let them all have the chance, and I can sit here and build and paint to my heart's content. But yeah, no, it's cool. They need to go visit their grandparents. So I'm hoping that you'll see some of the stuff this week that I want to show off on video is going to be some of my major projects for the summer. So do stick around, see what we've got brewing. We've got some interesting stuff to show off. And as always, if you guys are interested in any of these models, we'll have the links down below, as well as the one and only time during the week that I ever mention the fact that we do have that Patreon. If you enjoy the channel, please, by all means, we will always appreciate your support if you want to go down there and check that out. So, with that said, this has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we will see you back here soon. Bye-bye.